Everyone, welcome back to Historical Quarrels. I am your host, Tyler Eckhart. Today we're going to be going over the last part of the life of Emperor Caracalla, the Roman emperor who killed his brother 2 weeks ago. Well, not just 2 weeks ago, but, like hundreds of years ago. But we covered 2 weeks ago. We'll be going over his role as sole emperor and his eventual downfall and assassination. It's going to be a shorter episode today. We'll be getting back into the routine after the new year. So, recording this early, trying to get everything done a little bit early so I can enjoy some time with family and friends, as I hope you all are as well. Let's go ahead and get into it. So, to start, a brief recap. Caracalla is part of the Severus dynasty. He was a Roman emperor along with his brother Geta. Him and Geta had a contentious childhood, and they would routinely fight and bicker over a bunch of things. So at the advent of their father's death, they were both Caesar or emperor of the Roman Empire. And then about a year into them co-ruling, Caracalla and Geta are planning each other's assassinations, and Caracalla's goes off first, and he's able to kill Geta. So, in 212 AD, after the death of his brother, Caracalla took a decisive step that would leave a lasting impact on the Roman Empire by issuing the Constitutio Antoniana, also known as the Edict of Caracalla. This monumental decree granted Roman citizenship to the vast majority of free inhabitants within the empire, an act that significantly altered the social and administrative landscape of Rome. The motivations and consequences of this edict are extensively discussed by ancient historians such as Cassius Dio, who in his Roman history provided an in-depth account of the period. He suggested that Caracalla's primary motivation for issuing this edict was financial rather than altruistic, because by extending citizenship, Caracalla broadened the tax base, as Roman citizens were subject to taxes that non-citizens were exempt from. So it wasn't like him being nice and, being, here you go, everyone gets to be a citizen. He's like, now everyone has to be a citizen and you all pay me some fucking money, bitches. So Dio heavily implies that this move was partly driven by Caracalla's need to raise revenue for his military campaigns and lavish spending, mostly on military campaigns that he wasn't winning. Also in 212 AD, in a move that would reflect the darker aspects of his reign, Emperor Caracalla ordered the execution of his wife, Fulvia Plautilla. The reason why he was able to do this is because his brother was no longer a rival. No one else was trying to clamor for the throne, and so he didn't need to placate fucking Plautilla anymore, Fluvia's father. And so first he initiates the banishment and persecution of her whole family. The act was not only a personal vendetta, but also a political maneuver, as described in the accounts of historians such as Cassius Dio, primarily Cassius Dio. He provided a detailed account of the incident. He describes how Caracalla's animosity towards Plautilla and her family, particularly her father Gaius, had been simmering for years. Again, the guy did not give a shit about him, cared more about his dad, and Caracalla always just felt disrespected by him. So Plautianus, once a powerful figure as the Praetorian prefect and a close ally of Caracalla's father, Septimius Severus, had fallen out of favor and was executed in 205 AD, which, he was just a victim of court intrigues and Caracalla's growing disdain for him him calling him out and, disrespecting him in his mind. So Dio notes that Caracalla's marriage to Plautilla was never a happy one, marred by mutual dislike and resentment. She would continually make fun of his penis size, saying it was just a tad too small. It was never just right. It was just, never quite did it for her. And Caracalla resented her for that, and especially after routinely finding a bunch of the gladiators in her chambers and, being forced to watch her finish and climax as he had to sit in the corner and jack off. He didn't like being a cuck. He wasn't a cuck by choice. It was more of a cuck by force, and he didn't appreciate that. So, also, the marriage had been arranged by Septimus, primarily for political reasons and to strengthen ties with Plautianus. And with Plautianus gone, Plautilla and her family became very vulnerable targets for Caracalla's vengeance, and his disdain for her and partly his father for forcing him to marry her. Also, the historian Herodian comments on the event, highlighting its brutality and the climate of fear it engendered in the Roman court. Herodian portrays Caracalla as a ruler who did not hesitate to eliminate those he perceived as threats or just disliked, even if they were members of his own family. I mean, he fucking killed his brother. Of course, he didn't give a shit. So this decision to execute Plautilla and persecute her family was a very clear demonstration of his autocratic approach to rule. That he wasn't going to consult senators. He wasn't going to talk to anybody else. He was going to do whatever the fuck he wanted. He was tired of being told that he had to placate to everyone else. And he had to, make agreements and make the court happy. He was tired of that. He's like, I'll just kill whoever disagrees with me. And that was by killing his wife and her dad. Yeah. Clear sign to the Senate. So it not only removed potential rivals, but also served as a very severe warning to others in the imperial court and the Roman elite. Caracalla's reign was increasingly characterized by such acts of cruelty and paranoia as he consolidated power and eliminated opposition. But this was also part of a broader pattern of purges and repressions that marked his rule, his solo rule. These actions contributed to his reputation as a tyrant and unpredictable emperor, which was a legacy that overshadowed other aspects of his reign, particularly his military and his, again, some of the reforms that he made, making everyone a citizen, which is pretty, it's nice, but again, he did it primarily for money. Still, at least they're citizens now and aren't going to be, slaves and treated like shit. Kinda, sorta. Okay, and then next year, in 213 AD, he would Emperor Caracalla embarked on a significant military campaign in Germania, targeting the Alemanni tribe. This campaign was part of his broader military strategy and was indicative of his approach to ruling the Roman Empire through military might and conquest. You gotta flex. You gotta flex on those people and be like, hey, see these guns? You don't fuck with these guns. And that's how you get them to obey you, at least in his mind. Not through treaties or, through making them like you. You beat the shit out of them, or you flex on them and make them scared of you, intimidate them. Bit of an asshole, honestly. Bit of a bully. Cassius Dio describes Caracalla as a ruler who was constantly seeking military glory in the expansion of Rome's frontiers. So the campaign against Alemanni, which was a confederation of Germanic tribes, was a response to their incursions into Roman territories. Caracalla, known for his martial prowess and aggressive military tactics, saw this as an opportunity to demonstrate Rome's strength and his capability as a military commander, and to have no one make fun of him anymore for his little tiny pain. It's not that tiny. It's really average. Not tiny. That is something that he would say. Dio notes that Caracalla personally led the Roman legions into Germania, a region that posed significant challenges due to its dense forests and unfamiliar terrain. Also, it's, you hear some terrifying sounds at night, such as some ancient Germanic shouting rituals. Maybe people trying to transform themselves into bears. It was terrifying. And the campaign would also involve numerous skirmishes and battles, as the Roman forces engaged with the Alemanni warriors. Caracalla's leadership in these battles was marked by both strategic acumen and willingness to engage in direct combat. He wasn't like a full-on bitch. He would actually go and fight, so, good for him. He didn't just, act all tough and then not, show up. He did show up, which is the bare minimum bar to meet, and he did that. Good for him. Herodian provides a perspective on the impact of this campaign on Caracalla's reputation. He suggests that Caracalla's success in Germania bolstered his image as a strong and effective military leader, both among the Roman army and the general populace. This was crucial for maintaining loyalty and support within the military, which is a key pillar of Caracalla's power. If he lost that, he was donezo. He was going to get kicked right the fuck out. He knew that. So the campaign against the Alemanni also had broader implications for the Roman Empire, as him growing more loyalty and more support in here did make certain efforts to try and have him removed or court intrigue a little less open, definitely a little less talked about. But it was also part of his efforts to secure the empire's borders and to deal with the increasing pressure from Germanic tribes. By taking the fight into Germania, Caracalla aimed to deter future incursions and to assert Roman dominance in the region, which is smart. If you have some border issues by people who keep trying to incur on it, you go in and you fucking kill them. Especially if you've done enough warnings. Be like, hey, this is the border. Don't cross into here. They may have felt like it was their land to start with, and the Romans just kind of stole it or, bought it out from under them. And yeah. So, I can understand the back and forth there and the arguments as to why they thought they could do that. But, it is what it is. So despite the challenges, the campaign was largely successful. Caracalla managed to inflict significant losses on the Alemanni and push back their advances. However, the victory was not decisive, and the threat from the Germanic tribes would continue to be a concern for the Roman Empire in the years to come. I don't know why I'm reading it like this now, but this is my very serious, deep, intellectual voice, so I hope you enjoy it. In summary, the 213 AD military campaign, led by Caracalla against the Alemanni tribe, as chronicled by Cassius Dio and Herodian, was a significant event in his reign. It showcased his approach to imperial rule through military strength and his personal commitment to leading the troops in battle. Oh man, that's a weird voice. Just go with it. Just going with it. The campaign was indicative of the ongoing struggles in the Roman Empire's northern frontier and played a key role in shaping his legacy as a warrior emperor. So it's kind of like the one reason he has like anything good to say about him is he did kick some German ass. So good for him. And then between 214 and 216 AD, Caracalla would fuck up a little bit. I call this the start of his fuck ups because like he's still winning here. But he would launch a series of military campaigns in the east against the Parthian Empire, and these campaigns, notable for their intensity and the strategic challenges they presented, were aimed at expanding Roman influence in the region and securing key territories. Ancient historians, especially Cassius Dio and Herodian, as we all know, these are the two people that I'm fucking quoted the most. So, and this is where I'm getting most of my information. So, hope you enjoy it. But they offer a lot of detailed narratives of these campaigns. And I'm not going to go heavily into it as this is more of like a life piece. And I'm just kind of trying to give brief ideas and context from the time. So Cassius Dio recounts the motivations and suggests that he was driven by a desire for more military glory and the expansion of the Roman Empire, particularly though in the Roman military glory. He saw an opportunity to exploit the internal strife and weakness of the Parthian Empire, and Caracalla's ambition was to emulate the conquests of Alexander the Great and to secure his own legacy as a great military leader. The campaign began with Caracalla's deceitful attempt to arrange a marriage alliance with the Parthian king's daughter. This proposal was merely a ruse to justify his military expedition into Parthian territory. So he was like, yeah, no, I'll marry her. And just to kind of show off and show her what she's getting, I'm just going to bring some troops. Okay. Like, I just want you guys to see, like, she's going to be with a strong guy who leads an army. She's going to get like a warrior. And yeah, so when the Parthians discovered the deception, it led to heightened tensions and eventually open conflict. So, they did find out. They're like, that is way too many troops just to show off. Like, you could have just brought, like, your Praetorians and, some honor guard and shit. But, like, I don't know why you're bringing the fucking ballistas and the The catapults, that's a little weird. It's like when you're playing Civ with your buddies and you're like, listen, I'm just moving my troops. And then like all of a sudden you've surrounded like one of their cities with just like a shit ton of catapults. And you're like, yeah, no, they're just moving through the territory. Don't worry about it. You don't need to worry. It's fine. And so, yeah, they saw that and they're like, no, that's not okay. But beginning with this deceitful attempt, it would definitely lead to afterwards. It would be much more heightened tensions and then just straight up open conflict. So, and Herodian focuses on the key battles and the temporary territorial gains made by the Romans during these campaigns. He describes how Caracalla led his troops deep into Parthian territory, engaging in several battles and laying siege to key cities. These military engagements were marked by their ferocity and challenges they posed by the rugged terrain and the resilient Parthian forces, and also the Parthians, having a very good understanding of Roman tactics, traditional Roman weaponry, understanding how to defend against it. So it's a little bit harder than normal for Caracalla, and than it would be against the fucking German tribes who, had no fucking, well, they had an idea, but they still weren't ready for it on the same level. But one of the significant battles was the siege of the Parthian capital Ctesiphon. Caracalla's forces managed to breach the city's defenses and inflicted heavy damage. However, the Roman army was unable to hold the city and eventually retreated, partly due to supply issues and the onset of disease among the troops. God damn it, disease. Shit in your britches. Ruins every single good war that happens. So, too many people poop in their pants. Quite literally. And not even out of fear. Just, you got the tummy rumblies and it fucked them up, man. And Dio notes that while the campaigns resulted in some territorial gains, these were largely temporary. The logistical difficulties of sustaining a prolonged military presence in the region, coupled with the resilient Parthian counterattacks, as they would kind of retreat, and then, strategically retreat, regroup, recover, come in, attack, take over, like, some of the territory back. It was a back and forth game, and it was just very costly, and the Romans weren't going to just conquer the Parthians. So, yeah, it kind of wasn't worth it. It's definitely meant Romans could not maintain their hold on the conquered territories at all. It was kind of pointless. But though not decisive in altering the balance power between Rome and Parthia, it was significant in showcasing Caracalla's approach to foreign policy and military strategy, which is be aggressive, show your dick, slam your dick into your opponent's face, and keep banging away until you either enter a hole or you make one. That's a little dark. But that's what he did. He kept going. He's just a very, very aggressive man. Very angry dude. It was something to prove. Probably because people liked his brother more, and he still, was probably a little terrified of his brother, somehow coming back to life and haunting him or something. I like to imagine that he just like slept with like his eyes wide open, like, oh God, the ghost is haunting me. Oh no. Oh, man, I'm sorry. I'm a little loopy today. I'm being silly. And then in 215 AD, this is a particularly brutal event in which what is definitely going to lead to his downfall. This is when he does the sack of Alexandria in Egypt. This was precipitated by what Caracalla perceived as a personal affront. It stands out as one of the more notorious episodes of his rule. The incident and its aftermath are extensively detailed by historians, especially those who lived at the time. So, according to Cassius Dio, a combination of mockery and perceived disrespect from the people of Alexandria led Caracalla to take drastic action. The Alexandrians, known for their wit and penchant for satire, had apparently made fun of Caracalla's attempts to associate himself with Alexander the Great and mocked his murderous tendencies, particularly the killing of his brother Geta. These jests, although perhaps typical of the city's culture, enraged Caracalla. And the main way it was done is they would put on these almost puppet performances, at least what kind of looked like puppets. It was primarily wool meant to go over, kind of like over the arms and then like put on for bracers. But instead of like cutting out the hole for, like for the whole arm to go in through, they would leave it open, like leave it closed, and they would, use it like a sock puppet essentially. And there's actually a surviving record of the play itself that pissed off Caracalla and, made him hear about their mocking. And so I found that, and I'll go ahead and play some of the parts for you, and I'll read it out. I'll read out what it says.
I, the great Emperor Caracalla, declare that we shall march upon the Parthians and take it out of their cities.
And I, everyone's favorite Emperor Geta, think that is an idea to be as loved as your wife loves you, brother.
No one asked for, your opinion? Geta, get this the fuck out of here.
Well, this is also my empire, and I think it's better to make love, not war, with our neighbors, like how your wife prefers to live the gladiators than to see them fight. And I hear this is due to your inability to satisfy her.
She does it? To mocketh me, you asshole! Does she? Huh?
How dare you? You know I can't help how I pronounce my...
Your assist. Come now, brother. Say it with me. She sells seashells down by the seashore.
Now this bit is not working out as well as I thought it was going to. I was trying to do like a big old sock. I was going to do like a dumb little sock puppet theater thing. But, you guys get it. It was dumb. It was probably super dumb. And Caracalla hated it. So, yeah. I'm gonna leave it in there. The last bit that I wrote was just the puppet going, oh shit, I actually did it. Oh, fuck. I was defending myself. Everyone totally saw I had to do that, right? Good, now I'm going to go propose to the Parthian princess and take over her kingdom. Just kind of, I don't know. I'm not in a mood to do acting right now. Whatever. It's cringy. I don't give a shit. Okay. Herodian's account compliments Dio's by describing how Caracalla deceitfully pretended to overlook the insult and visited Alexandria, claiming to be interested in its renowned cultural and educational institutions. However, this visit was a ruse to catch the city off guard. Once in Alexandria, Caracalla unleashed his troops upon the unsuspecting populace in a brutal display of vengeance. And nobody was fucking spared. I'm talking just regular-ass citizens. Women and children slaughtered. Dio vividly recounts the sack in the city, detailing the indiscriminate slaughter of its inhabitants, including the women and children. The Roman soldiers, under Caracalla's orders, were given free rein to kill, loot, and destroy. Lots of that went on. They sacked the place. The streets of Alexandria, which was once a bustling city with activity, were turned into scenes of carnage and despair. I'm talking like guts splattered on the road, just openly. Women getting, and kids just getting beheaded. Like, it was real fucked up, man. Yeah, brutal. And this sack had far-reaching consequences for him. Apart from the immediate loss of life and destruction, it sent a very chilling message across the empire about the consequences of defying or mocking the emperor. And Caracalla's actions in Alexandria revealed a ruler who would not tolerate dissent or disrespect, and who was willing to employ extreme measures to assert his authority. This significantly damaged his reputation, however. Alexandria had been one of the most important cultural and economic centers of the Mediterranean world, and its brutal treatment alienated many throughout the empire. The incident underscored the increasingly tyrannical nature of Caracalla's reign and his reliance on fear and violence to maintain control. And people don't do well with that, typically. They're not okay with having someone who's, good doing that shit. And especially back then when Roman citizens were treated fairly well, like, it felt like they at the very least had a choice, especially the senators and the elite. Definitely felt like they had a choice in emperor and were more than willing to take out people, to say. And the final straw that pisses off the elite, apart from the brutally murdering of women and children and just like being okay with, that happening in Alexandria, the thing that sent everyone over edge was in 216 AD, he married Aquilia Severa, who was a Vestal virgin. That's right. He married a virgin. Fucking bastard. How dare he? This act, however, is kind of a big deal for culturally. It violated one of ancient Rome's most sacred religious traditions. It's extensively documented by the historians who express astonishment and disapproval of his actions here. The Vestal virgins were priestesses of Vesta, who is the goddess of the hearth, and were bound by a vow of chastity for 30 years. This vow was considered sacred, and its violation was believed to bring divine wrath upon Rome. So, by him doing this, everyone was like, oh shit, we're going to die now because this asshole just pissed off the gods. So by marrying Aquila Severa, Caracalla not only broke this religious taboo, but also challenged the long-established norms and values of Roman society. Again, he hated being told no. Caracalla, if he gets told no, it pisses him off and makes it so he wants to do it even more. Dio suggests that Caracalla justified this marriage by claiming he was following a divine command to produce royal offspring with a Vestal virgin, thereby ensuring the prosperity of Rome. However, this rationale was met with skepticism and did little to quell the outrage among the Roman populace and the elite. So he basically went with God told me it was cool. The cult leader route of being like, yeah, no, God told me I need to marry this lady and she needs to have my kids. Because that's they're going to lead all of us in the future. Goddamn. Herodian's account highlights the scandalous nature of the marriage. He describes the public's reaction of one as shock and dismay, noting that the marriage was seen as an affront to the Roman religious traditions and an example of Caracalla's disregard for societal norms and laws. This marriage was also politically significant. His decision to flout religious conventions can be seen as an assertion of his absolute power and autonomy as emperor. It was no longer the Roman Empire, it was the Roman cult, and he was its fucking leader. It demonstrated his belief that his authority extended over both the secular and religious spheres of Roman life. Herodian points out that the marriage did not produce any known offspring, and it did not last long. Nevertheless, the act had lasting repercussions on his reputation. It reinforced his image as unpredictable, and a little bit too chaotic. So people are becoming, a little more pissed off here and a little more willing to take care of some problems, and him being the biggest problem that they need to take care of, if you catch my drift, and the old-timey take care of an issue here. Also in 216 AD, we have the construction of a couple of baths that Caracalla had overseen. So the construction of the baths in Rome, of the baths of Caracalla in Rome, were some of the largest and most luxurious of its kind in the ancient world. It's also a testament to his spending, and also, again, pissing more people off because he's spending money on something that isn't necessary. However, the baths of Caracalla are an architectural marvel, as they are huge in scale, in their opulence and their design. Again, by Roman historian standards, this is, it was crazy. There was also libraries, lecture rooms, and gardens in the baths. It was a center of leisure and cultural activity in Rome for a while. These baths were also part of his Caracalla's effort to gain popularity among the Roman people, and to showcase the wealth and power of his regime. Also, again, to kind of, make them forget that he killed his brother. Because he started construction in 212 AD, right after he killed his brother, and it finishes in 216 AD. But moving on from that, so after that's all happened, and he pissed off people by marrying the Vestal virgin, he brutally sacked Alexandria, but who gives a shit? about that. Yeah, more important that he, pissed off the gods. Emperor Caracalla prepared to renew his military campaign against the Parthians in 217 AD. This was a move that reflected his ongoing commitment to expanding Roman influence in the East and his personal quest for military glory. He was like, I'm not leaving it unconquered, bitches. This campaign, coming after his earlier ventures against the Parthians and his significant but brutal actions in Germania and Egypt, was another chapter in his militaristic approach to foreign policy. Ancient historians, particularly Cassius Dio and Herodian, provide insights into the motivations and context of this renewed campaign. Cassius Dio would mention, notes that Caracalla's renewed interest in the East was partly driven by the desire to emulate the conquest of Alexander the Great. Caracalla admired Alexander and sought to replicate his successes by expanding Roman territory in the Parthian Empire. And Dio would suggest that Caracalla's ambition was not only to secure Roman borders, but to enhance his reputation as a military conqueror. He wanted to be on the same level of Alexander the Great. But too bad the dude wasn't fucking great. He was kind of just a dick. And Herodian comments on the strategic aspects of the campaign, points out that the Parthian Empire, though weakened by internal strife and previous conflicts with Rome, still represented a significant challenge. And Caracalla's preparations for the campaign involved mobilizing a large force and securing supply lines this time for what was expected to be a very prolonged military engagement. Because he was like, okay, I'm not going to fuck up and not be able to keep a territory anymore. We're going to make sure we have supplies out there. We're going to keep those supplies coming in. So the preparations for the campaign against the Parthians also reflected Caracalla's approach to governance overall. And I feel like this is very emblematic of like who he was as a ruler, which is flashy, opulent, and just a big show off. Like a big, that guy in high school who is on like the football team and thinks he's like hot shit. But then once he gets into college, like everyone else that thought they were hot shit is also playing. And so he's not actually that much of like hot shit anymore and doesn't really go anywhere after college and actually just gets kicked off the team. He's kind of like that guy. That's who Caracalla was. He was a dumb football jock who couldn't get over himself and thought that he had to conquer everything to get everyone to love him and respect him, because that was the only way that he got daddy's love was through fighting. But also preparing to do this, people were like, can we please not? Because we just spent a lot of money on doing that, not even fucking 2 years ago, not even really like a year ago. And they didn't finish until like a year ago. And then 217 he was getting ready to do again. They weren't making that much money to do it. So on April 8th, 217 AD, Emperor Caracalla met a violent end when he was assassinated near Caracalla, a site with its own historical significance due to the famous battle between the Romans and the Parthians in 53 BC. This assassination was orchestrated by his Praetorian prefect, Macrinus, and marked a dramatic and abrupt end to Caracalla's reign. The events leading up to and following the assassination are captured in detail by the historians, some of which were around at the time. Cassius Dio's account describes the circumstances. Caracalla was near Caracalla, continuing his campaign against the Parthians, and the assassination was carefully planned and executed by a disgruntled soldier who was a part of a wider conspiracy led by Macrinus. Macrinus, who had served Caracalla loyally, but had grown fearful of the emperor's increasing paranoia and erratic behavior, saw the assassination as a means to secure his own position and potentially seize power. It was just power play, really. And emperors being paranoid, fucking normal for that time. I'd be paranoid. I think everyone's coming after me if I was the emperor of Roman Empire, because again, it's a lot of power. People can seize that shit if they have the means to. However, Herodian's narrative complements Dio's account, offering insights into the broader context of the assassination. He suggests that Caracalla's tyrannical rule, marked by frequent purges and ruthless suppression of dissent, had alienated many in the Roman elite, including those in his inner circle. So Macrinus, sensing the growing discontent and fearing for his safety, decided to act. Like he's like, I have to kill him now before I'm killed, basically. Kind of a do or die moment here. And he's like, well, if I become emperor because of it, fuck it. It was very sudden and brutal. So according to Dio, the emperor was caught off guard and was unable to defend himself. He essentially gets jumped, like a street gang, and he gets stomped to death by this disgruntled soldier who's pissed off at him. His death was a stark reminder of the precarious nature of power in Rome, where emperors often face threats not only from external enemies, but also from within their own ranks. And the aftermath of the assassination was marked by a bunch of confusion and a swift transfer of power. Macrinus moved quickly to consolidate his position, declaring himself emperor. And the transition was relatively smooth, partly due to the military and Senate's weariness of Catacala's unpredictable and often violent rule. They were like, oh, finally. All right, yeah, whoever the fuck wants to be in here, get him in. Sweet. We don't have to worry about this asshole anymore. But this is a big part of Roman history. It really illustrates, again, if you remember from last episode where we're covering Catacala's life, how these emperors would, like Commodus, rise to power, do a bunch of terrible shit, and then get killed for it. Kind of happens continually after Marcus Aurelius. But that marks the end of Catacala's life and marks the end of today's historical quarrel. Thank you for listening. All right, everyone, welcome to the end part of today's episode. Happy New Year, everyone. Glad you all were here. Sorry that sock puppet part was kind of cringy. I didn't really plan like a special bit for the episode, and I felt like I had to do something. So hopefully the editing that I do and like some of the music that I add to it makes it bearable. But I was like, yeah, I can do it. And then I got to do it and I was like, I'm not in the mood. Because I probably could be like, or like, how are you doing? And like done like some Muppet voices like, Kermit the Frog here. It's Geta. You're a dumbass, Catacalla. I don't know. Could have done something like that. Really like played into it, but I didn't. And I apologize. So if that part was awful for you, that's one part of an episode, not even that big of a part. It's a small bit just to demonstrate the fucking ridiculousness of Catacalla getting mad over some joke that some guy made. Could you imagine if the US president decided to go to war with, or like essentially go in and blow up New York because SNL did like a skit on them and it would like just piss them off? That's the equivalent of what happened. You went into like someone who was, or really, their own territory and destroyed it because they made a joke. It's ridiculous, and it's just a big waste of money. The guy was a dumbass overall. And I don't know, it's just impressive to me how awful he was, because he definitely just resonated like fucking jock asshole energy. Like the stereotypical 80s bully who thought they were a hot shit, and if anybody said like one little thing about them, they would like respond just with violence because they, can't use words. They can't use big boy thinking caps here. I don't know, it's just interesting. Again, Happy New Year. Hope you guys are having a good one. Hope your resolutions are going good. My resolution for this year is number one, hopefully my board game goes to like a full launch. I want to do that before the end of the year. That'd be really cool if I could start a Kickstarter for it and move towards like getting it into people's hands. If not, I understand that it takes time because I still have to do a bunch of like, what's it called? Blind testing, where essentially just like have the game out, have the pieces, and in my case, pieces and cards, and then people play the game and you see if they can play it just without even having a rule book. Sounds crazy to me, but how it is. Another resolution is to, and I know I'm drinking soda. It's a ginger ale though, so non-branded, no specific branding here, because oh gosh, not getting sponsored for this episode. been on a bit of a downward trend, which is fine. I think people have noticed that the episode's been kind of slipping a little bit. Part of that is due to the holidays. The other part of that is just due to the fact that I haven't had as much time with work and with my wife being in school and then me needing to be more present for my family. And, that happens. And that's more than fine. I'm glad to do this. She's giving me plenty of time to record right now, and I'm super appreciative of it. So, however, I do also want to put in a bunch more work into the show. Like I said at the last episode. Oh, speaking of which, no one has won the game yet. No one's guessed what it is. I think I'll let it run one more week, and then I'll reveal to you what it was. What I was copying. I thought it was kind of obvious. I guess not. I don't know. Maybe, I guess if people just don't know what it is, they don't know what it is. But I'll reveal it next week, what the story was, or like what I was essentially retelling in that format, but with different names and different people. But yeah, it's been an interesting one. If you guys appreciated what the show is, if you appreciated today's episode, if you feel like added value or something, please like, share, leave a review. Let me know what I can do better. I'm always looking for ways to improve. I'm not above, people's criticisms. Hopefully I've demonstrated that. I feel like I've responded to criticism and been like, okay, I understand. And I've tried to do better about it, or tried to do, other things. So it's, especially if you listen to the show. I mean, like if you listen to the show and you have like feedback you want to give, that's helpful. But I mean, if you listen to like 1 or 2 minutes and you don't listen to the whole thing, sometimes I'm like, it's like when like a critic gives a review on a movie and you know for a fact that they didn't watch the whole thing. Because like you can tell like they are complaining about something that clearly gets handled or is taken care of in like a good way later on in the movie. And then like they later admit that like I didn't watch it. I just saw like this part. It's like, but watch the whole movie so you can have like the whole context. I don't know. And stuff bugs me. Just a little bit. So if you are going to criticize, just please listen to the whole thing and then just kind of let me know what didn't work. And what maybe what did work, or like if the whole thing was just shit, then it's just shit. Then it's not for you. I guess like at all. Because at that point I feel like it's just like you just don't like me, and that's fine. No, you don't have to like me. I don't know. I feel like there's some parts that are good of this show. I feel like I do some good. Do a little research and work on it. Jeez. No. Well, I mean I do, but no, I don't. No. If I'm asking for feedback, I'm asking for feedback. So that's all. That's it. I'm not gonna just like say be like, oh, don't hurt my feelings. Like, no, hurt my feelings. Hurt my feelings so that way I can get better. But I don't know. I hope you guys are doing good. Hope you guys are having a good time. A lot of fun for the holidays. I know I am. I'm planning on spending time tomorrow with friends and tonight with family and friends. So it's going to be good. If you guys are struggling with anything, reach out, talk to someone. You can talk to me. If you're having a hard time, I'll respond. So just know that people care about you, know that you're loved, and you guys have a great new year. Love you all.